Out there. Welcome to the Forget the Fear Masterclass. I'm Adam Lane Smith, and what you're about to learn in the next 90 minutes will fundamentally change everything that you understand about attachment and relationships. And I want to be very clear. Chat, you guys are right down here. I'm paying attention. I'm watching you here. I'm going to be asking you a lot of questions here today. This is you right here. If I look down here, I'm reading everything you're saying in real time. Thank you to everybody for being here. Very glad that you are here indeed. Now, I do have a little bit of a delay, so when I ask you those questions, it may pop in down there, and that's okay. We'll get there together. But before we dive in here today, I need to know something about you, okay? I need to know something very clear, chat. Most of you took my attachment quiz to get here, which means you already know whether you have an anxious, an avoidant, or disorganized attachment style. What you don't know is why your nervous system keeps sabotaging your relationships. More importantly, you don't know how to stop it. Let me be very direct with you. 67% of adults have insecure attachment style now. Okay? That means 2 out of every 3 people that you meet, maybe including you, are walking around with nervous systems that are literally wired to push love away. And here's the most painful truth. Most of these people will die without ever experiencing secure love. Now, not because they're broken, not because they're unlovable, but because they never learned the biological truth about how attachment actually works. And today, that changes for you. Let's go through this together. I'm so excited to share this with you guys. Today, forget the fear. I want to show you why fear is not going to hold you back anymore. Okay? I'm so excited to share this with you guys. All right. The fear question. This is a good one. Pay attention here. I want you to learn this. Okay? Let's start with the fear that brought you here. I want you to type in the chat right now. And again, there's about a 30-second delay. So type your answers and I'm going to be jumping in there. Okay? Just what is your biggest fear in relationships right now? Okay? Don't overthink it. Type the first thing that comes to mind. Okay? Go ahead and drop that over in chat. A lot of us have fears in relationships. We are afraid of something. This begins our process as we say, I am afraid that, for example, no one will ever really love me. I am afraid that people will leave me when it matters most. Drop those answers over there in chat. I love it. Okay. Abandonment and not being enough. Abandonment, being deceived. That's a good one. Abandonment, inadequacy. Abandonment, neglect. Abandonment, being loved at all. I got that. Not being chosen, not being loved, vulnerability, lack of connection, rejection, abandonment. I'm seeing a lot of abandonment and a lot of rejection, failure, betrayals. Guys, I hear all of you. Thank you for being this vulnerable and this honest. I love how many of you are here as well. You're wanting to learn, and that is fantastic. Becoming an ATM rather than someone who's loved. Ooh, there's an avoidant piece right there. Fear of failure, fear of abandonment, fear of conflict. Yes, that's a big one for everybody, isn't it? Okay, thank you guys for that. I appreciate that. I'm seeing a lot of different responses here, but look at these responses, okay? Every single one of these fears, I want to be very, very clear here. These are not personality flaws. What you're afraid of does not mean that you are not enough of a person. It does not mean that you're bad. It does not mean you're actually a failure. It does not mean that you don't deserve love. It doesn't even mean that anyone will ever see that when they look at you, okay? Every single one of these fears, they're not character defects. They're not proof that you're damaged or unlovable. They're nervous system responses that got wired into you before you were even old enough to form memories. And they are controlling your relationships right now, whether you realize it or not. Let me tell you first about Jennifer M. I like to keep people's names secret here. She wrote to me saying, I used to check my husband's location app several times daily. I felt terrible about it. I walked on eggshells, fearing his cold, distant moods. Chat, any of you ever done something like this? Maybe you want to admit it, maybe you don't, but anyone ever feel like they have to walk on eggshells daily? Okay? That constant checking, that fear, that walking on eggshells, for Jennifer, those weren't character flaws. That was her nervous system running a program that was installed in childhood. Okay? Here's the paradox that's keeping you stuck. The very behaviors you use to create safety in relationships are the ones pushing people away. If you have anxious attachment, for example, your attempts to get closer make people pull away. You over-explain yourself after every small understanding, trying to make sure they aren't upset. You replay every conversation in your head. You're searching for what you did wrong. Anyone ever done that one? Maybe in the shower or right before bed? You apologize to other people just to keep the peace, even when you didn't do anything wrong, even when they don't want you to apologize. Every time you do this, they start feeling pressured and they pull away, which triggers your fear of abandonment, and that makes you cling even harder. This is a very painful cycle. All you anxiously attached folks out there, I know that's resonating with you right now. If you have avoidant attachment, and many of you do, from some of the fears you dropped, fears of rejection and fears of being used for money, fears of betrayal, if you have avoidant attachment style, your attempts to stay safe make other people feel rejected. You go cold when they want closeness. You shut down during conflict. You convince yourself you don't need anyone. And every time you do this, they pursue harder, which makes you feel more engulfed, which makes you withdraw more. Another trap. See how that works? Now, if you have disorganized attachment, you're doing both at the same time. Okay? That creates chaos for you and for them. You chase them, and the moment you catch them, you push them away again. You want closeness, then you create drama to escape from closeness. One day you're planning the future, the next day you're questioning everything. You're living in constant emotional whiplash, and so is your partner. Can you see the trap that you're in now? Your nervous system is trying to protect you, but it's using outdated software that guarantees you'll experience exactly what you're trying to avoid. This is what I call the attachment paradox. And until you understand it, you'll keep running the same program, getting the same results, wondering why love never works out for you. Chat, drop me a yes if this is making sense to you so far. I want to make sure that we are connecting here. Is this you? Give me a hell yes if this is absolutely you. Okay? And I'll see those here in just a couple of seconds when they start popping up for me. I see the hearts over there. Thank you, you guys. Okay? I'm waiting for that. I love the yeses. I love the hell yeses. All right. Are they there? Yep, there we go. There's the flood of yeses. Awesome. Awesome that you're understanding it. I got you. Okay. 100% got you guys. Hell yes. There's a hell yes. Another hell yes. Got it. Heck yes. Good enough. 100% yes. Thank you, Phoenix. All right. You guys are getting it. Beautiful. We're on the same page now. Love it. Let's talk about the hidden cost. Okay? This is the attachment pattern draining away your life. Let me show you what it's actually costing you. It feels harmless. It just kind of hurts in that moment, but it's costing you something dear. And I'm not talking about therapy bills, by the way, or self-help books, though I bet you've spent thousands on those already. I'm talking about the real costs. Okay? The relationships that ended because you couldn't stop your patterns. Think about that person you truly loved, but your attachment issues got in the way. Maybe you pushed them away. Maybe you clung too tightly to them. Maybe you created so much chaos they had no choice but to leave. Now, that wasn't your fault, but it was your attachment pattern. The same as those nights lying awake at 2 a.m. with your chest tight, wondering why you just can't feel safe. Your heart racing, your mind spinning through every interaction, looking for signs of being rejected or abandoned. That's a physical toll being taken on your body. That's a real cost. The constant exhaustion from managing your nervous system activations. You're spending so much energy just trying to appear normal to the outside, trying not to be too much or too needy or too distant. Energy that could and should be going toward building a life that you love. Now, the opportunities for love that you've pushed away because fear felt safer than vulnerability, that's another cost. How many times have you walked away from someone good because the risk of getting hurt felt too dangerous? How many times has your nervous system hit the eject button before you even had a chance to see what could develop? Chat, I'd love for you guys to drop a number in the chat. How many years have you been dealing with these problems? For some of you, that's lifelong. You're just going to put your age in the chat. For some of you, you're going to put since you started dating. Put a number in chat. and let me know, what is the number of years you have spent dealing with these problems? I want to see a real number. And the reason I'm asking you this is because I want you to pay attention to what it's costing you. We excuse it too often. Okay, I see 49, two 49s in a row. That works. 46 years, 20 years, lifelong, 65 years, 48, my entire life, 45, 45, 30, 49. Yeah, 33 going on 34, whole life. There you go. 51, 73, 73, 68. This is a long time, you guys. That is a lot of, it's what we call not only pain cost, but opportunity cost. Okay? I'm seeing numbers all over the place. All over the place. Okay? I want you guys to think about that. And thank you for being honest, you guys. I want you to think about that, though. Okay? Some of you have been battling these patterns for longer than others of you have been alive. Okay? Nothing has really fundamentally changed, has it? I bet you've tried to think your way out of it, like most people. You've tried to use willpower. You've tried to just be different this time. And it works for maybe a week, maybe a month if you're lucky. But then something triggers you and boom, you're right back in that same pattern, doing the same dance, feeling the same shame. Now let me share some real words from people who've actually experienced this. And these are confidential names. Sarah M. wrote in and said, Adam, my partner used to disappear emotionally for days after any disagreement. I was no longer afraid to bring up difficult topics after I worked with you, but before I learned these tools, I lived in constant fear. From constant fear to the end of fear. See that? What's the name of this masterclass? Forget the fear. Jennifer K. said something similar. I was ready to leave after years of emotional isolation. Think about that. Years of feeling alone while living with someone you love. Roommates you can't even stand. I don't know if I want to ask you guys if you're experiencing that. That might be almost a little too real. Chat, if you're feeling brave, let me know if that's you in your relationship right now. More alone than ever when you're with the person that you're supposed to love. Melissa T. shared this with me. After 7 years of my husband shutting down during every important conversation, I finally have the tools that actually work. Last night, he told me things he's never shared with anyone, even his therapist. 7 years, you guys, 7 years of trying to connect and being met with walls. Rebecca W. told me after 12 years of marriage, I'd given up on ever feeling truly connected. 12 years of living with someone and feeling completely alone. Now, these aren't unusual stories. These are the norm when attachment patterns go unaddressed. How many more years are you willing to live like this? I'm asking you that because here's what nobody talks about. This isn't just about you. These patterns didn't start with you, and if you don't repair them, they won't end with you either. Your attachment pattern came from your parents, who got it from their parents, who got it from theirs. It's a generational trauma that keeps getting passed down like a family heirloom that nobody wants. And if you have kids, they're already learning your attachment patterns. They're watching how you do relationships, how you handle conflict, how you manage emotions. You're teaching them that love means anxiety or distance or chaos. Catherine, one of my clients, said, I began the program with a highly anxious attachment style, and I felt emotionally dysregulated on a daily basis. This program taught me to value myself in the ways I've always valued others. But before she did that work, can you imagine what her children were learning about relationships? They were watching mom be anxiously dysregulated every day, learning that's what love and life looks like. The question isn't whether you have or want to have secure attachment. The question is whether you want to be the one who finally breaks that family cycle. Now, let me tell you why everything else you've tried has failed. Yes, I know that you've tried everything. Therapy that had you talk about your childhood for years without anything changing. That's the problem with traditional therapy, by the way. It keeps you analyzing the problems instead of building new patterns. You probably read relationship books that gave you communication scripts that felt completely fake. Listen to what happened to Lisa and John. They came to me after 2 years of couples therapy. They learned all the communication techniques. They could do active listening. They used I statements. They had weekly relationship check-ins. And guess what? They were more miserable than ever. When Lisa came in, she told me, Adam, we communicate perfectly now, but I still feel like he doesn't really see me. It's like we're having very polite conversations with strangers. It's exactly how you want to feel about your husband, right? John said something even worse. She's never satisfied. I do everything the therapist taught us, but she's still upset all the time. I don't know what else she wants. Imagine that level of frustration in your marriage, guys. This is normal for attachment issues. Here's what's really happening, though. Lisa had anxious attachment, and John had avoidant attachment. Every time Lisa tried to connect using the proper communication techniques, John's nervous system heard incoming emotional demand and shut down even more. And every time John responded correctly, but without general engagement, Lisa's nervous system screamed, he's just going through the motions. I'm still not safe. Now, you've probably done courses that taught you boundaries, but not how to actually maintain them. They'll probably tell you things like this. Just say no. Protect your peace. Don't accept breadcrumbs. Great. But when your anxious attachment gets triggered and you're terrified of abandonment, how exactly do you maintain those boundaries? When your entire nervous system is screaming, do whatever it takes to keep them, your willpower doesn't stand a chance. You've probably tried meditation apps that calm you down for, 10 minutes? Until real life happened again. Look, mindfulness is wonderful. I think it's important. Breathing exercises are helpful, but they're Band-Aids on a bullet wound. They might calm your nervous system temporarily, but they don't rewire the underlying patterns. Here's the truth. None of those approaches address the root cause. They're treating symptoms while your nervous system keeps running the same program it's been running since you were 2 years old. Let's talk about the financial side of this. Okay, the average divorce costs $25,000 to $100,000. Can you imagine spending $100,000 just to get away from the person you were supposed to love and spend your life with? Most couples think therapy will save them, but studies show that roughly 50% of couples drop out by session 3 because it isn't solving the real issue, their attachment patterns. A 50% dropout. Did you know a year later, many couples are worse than they were before they started couples therapy? And many cite the couples therapy experience as one of the reasons for that. One of my clients, Jenny, told me, we spent 2 years in therapy with nothing to show for it. 6 months of attachment-focused coaching saved our marriage. I'd love to hear from you guys. And this is going to be a hard number. I want you to be gentle on yourself, but give me a real number here, okay? Type in the chat, how much have you spent trying to fix these patterns? You guys, through your years of life that you've spent there, you guys put 79 years, 50 years, 45 years. Okay, how much money have you spent trying to fix this? Include all the years of therapy that you've done. Include all the courses you've bought, all the books that you've bought, all the dates that you've gone on, right? Therapists love to give you couples dates. How much money have you spent trying to fix this? How much cash have you spent trying to fix your attachment problems? For some of you, it's going to be hundreds. Well, most of you, it's going to be thousands. A lot of you, it's going to be tens of thousands if you add up the years of therapy. 20K, somebody just said. David, man, 20K. About $10,000, $5,000. That's sounding right. Thank you, Michelle. A few hundred, I think. Okay. Not a clue. That's a dangerous sign. $219,000. Sounds like a divorce. $100,000 at least. Yeah. Guys, factor in your divorces when you do this, by the way. Currently single, but I've spent around $3,000. Okay. $30K. Money or time, because I'm 50, I've spent enough. I hear you. 1,000 euros. Thousands. I've lost track. No idea. $10,000. 10 years of therapy, at least $5K. Yeah, it's probably more than that, to be honest with you. Just to be honest. $200K. More if I end up divorced. Brutal. That's it, okay? The same patterns still keep showing up, you guys. Most people will continue going to therapy after 10 years, hoping it will eventually work. The same patterns keep showing up, not because you guys didn't try. Look how hard all of you have tried. But they keep showing up because nobody taught you how to rewire your attachment patterns. Now, some of you are new to the channel. And if you are, I am so grateful that you're here. Thank you so much. We're about to hit 200,000 here on this channel. Thank you for that, and thank you for your support. If you don't know me, some of you might be wondering, who is this guy to tell me my attachment patterns are ruining my life? What makes him different from all the other relationship experts and therapists I've tried? Okay? By the way, what I'm about to show you is not therapy. I want to be very clear there. And this is a fair question. Who is this guy claiming he has the answer when everyone else also claims that? I'm going to give you an honest answer. I grew up saturated in attachment trauma. I had a extended family with a lot of abandonment, foster care, adoption, struggles. People were just surviving. Okay? I grew up anxiously attached, constantly people-pleasing, terrified of rejection. I grew up with severe attachment issues myself, and at 20 years old, I hit a breaking point. At 20, okay? I'd spent 20 years already, and I said, I can't do this anymore. So I decided to do the opposite of everything I'd been doing. And that meant, for me, I started being honest. I set boundaries, and I kept them. I stopped people-pleasing just to survive. And without knowing it, I was applying attachment theory, and it transformed everything in my life. I went to school for 9 years to become a licensed marriage and family therapist because I wanted to help people make that same shift. But what I found in the field was devastating to me. Endless medications, symptom management, no real answers for why families were breaking apart. Then I discovered this old theory from the 1950s called attachment theory, and it explained everything to me. When I brought it to my supervisors at the clinic and said, we need to use this, it finally helps people, they said, insurance will never cover this. You have to stick to diagnoses. But by that time, I'd become known as the therapist that other therapists sent their most difficult cases to. The couples who'd been through 2, 3, 4 therapists already and were ready to give up, people said, no, you haven't talked to Adam yet. The individuals who seemed impossible to help. The relationships that were on life support. And I was getting incredible results using attachment science instead of traditional talk therapy. While other therapists were having couples work on communication scripts and couples dates, I was giving them specific tools to rewire their attachment patterns. The referrals just kept coming. My practice was thriving. I had a wait list months long. I was making good money, helping people transform their relationships in ways they never thought were possible. But I had a very serious dilemma. It changed everything, actually. I could help maybe 20 to 30 people per week in my practice. That's it. That's the limit when you're doing intensive one-on-one work. Okay? Meanwhile, I was watching millions of people struggle with the same attachment issues, but they couldn't access the kind of specialized help that they needed. Most therapists aren't trained in attachment neuroscience at all. Most relationship coaches don't understand the biological mechanisms driving these patterns. So people were going to therapy for years. You guys just showed that in the chat, okay? Spending thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. You guys just showed that in the chat. And not seeing any real change. Putting in enormous effort and feeling helpless because they were getting cognitive interventions for a nervous system problem. Whole different level. Okay? I started having people come to me who'd say things like what Mark told me. Adam, I've had 3 different therapists over 4 years and they all wasted my money. It's just endless talking and then asking how that makes me feel. I don't care how I feel anymore. Tell me what to do. And I started to feel this weight in my chest. Like I have this knowledge that could help millions of people, but I'm only able to reach a few dozen. How many relationships are falling apart right now because people don't have access to this information? So that's when I made the hardest decision of my career. I gave up my license because it was only valid in one state and I couldn't help people internationally. I walked away from my thriving practice to teach attachment science at scale. My mission is to help 1 billion people become securely attached. 1 out of 7 people on this planet. After that, you can all take care of each other. Now, when I started doing this work, attachment wasn't a mainstream conversation. It lived mostly in academic journals and therapy rooms, if there. Okay? My mission was very simple. Make attachment transformation accessible to everyday people. Since then, thousands of people have rewired their attachment patterns. Millions of people have heard this message. And the world has started talking about attachment, finally, in a brand new way. And man, has that been exciting for me. That is a dream come true. But the most exciting part isn't what happened. It's what's next. We're building the Attachment Institute, a global hub for nervous system-based attachment repair. We're training new coaches and we're expanding the team so we can serve people faster and with even greater depth. I'm sharing this message on some of the biggest stages in the world, from Modern Wisdom to Mind Pump to upcoming conversations with Lisa Bilyeu, Dave Asprey, and others who are shaping the future of mental and emotional health. Those have been some fantastic conversations. I very much recommend you check them out. We're releasing new programs, new courses, and new tools that make this work even more accessible, from digital assessments to deeper long-form trainings. This isn't just a coaching practice anymore. It's a movement, and we're just getting started. Now let's get into the science of this. Okay, I want to teach you this. You need to understand this if you ever want to make those changes happen. Because understanding this is really what changed everything for me, and it's what will change everything for you. Now, there's something that you may have heard in your brain called the amygdala. It's a little almond-shaped threat detector deep down inside your brain, and it operates way below conscious awareness. Way below. And it's very, very fast. Now, when something happens in your relationship, let's say your partner doesn't text you back for a few hours. I don't know if any of you have ever had that experience. Your nervous system detects a potential threat, and it reacts in 0.3 seconds. 0.3 seconds. That's faster than you can consciously register what's happening. Your amygdala has already fired, flooding your body with stress hormones before your rational brain even knows there's a situation. You already are activated in fear and stress before you even know you're feeling something. That means by the time you consciously realize, oh, they haven't texted back, your body has already done a few things. Number 1, flooded with cortisol and adrenaline. Number 2, increased your heart rate. Number 3, it's tensed your muscles through your body. Number 4, it's activated your attachment response pattern. And number 5, it started preparing for abandonment or rejection or engulfment. And your attachment pattern is already running its program in your brain by the time you realize, oh, they didn't text me. This is why you can't think your way out of attachment triggers, guys. This is by the time your brain comes online, your nervous system has already hijacked that show. Okay? You literally cannot use willpower or logic to override these responses. It doesn't work. That's why affirmations from your therapist don't work for attachment issues. You can tell yourself, I'm secure and I'm confident in love all day long in the mirror. But when your partner cancels plans, your nervous system doesn't care about your affirmations. It's running a program installed how many years ago? Guys, going back to your answers? 40 years ago? 30 years ago? 79 years ago? That's what you're trying to beat. That's why trying harder doesn't work. You're using your prefrontal cortex, your thinking brain, which probably is offline by this time, to try to control your limbic system, your emotional brain. But the limbic system is faster, stronger, and doesn't speak the language of logic. Now, when your attachment system detects a threat, and remember, this happens faster than conscious thought for you, it has 3 possible responses. Let me break down exactly what's happening in your body and your brain for each one of these. First, the anxious response. For those of you out there who are anxious, drop a me in the chat. Throw me a me or an anxious. When I'm writing my notes, I put ANX, anxious. Throw me a note down in the chat. I'm going to see that and see how many of you I have who might be anxious, okay? If you're disorganized, right? We'll get to you guys here in a minute. Don't worry about that. But if you're purely anxious, throw me an anxious or a me down in chat. I'm looking right now. Like I said, I'm on a 30-second delay as we go. So drop those in chat. Okay, here we go. Me with an exclamation point. Okay, we're identifying here. You guys probably took my attachment quiz. You probably have the understanding there. That's why. Okay, and you've lived with it, so you know. There we go. A lot of me. Okay, there's a lot of anxiously attached people in the house tonight. That is okay. Thank you for having the courage to throw that in there, because even that is stressful to do, right? To stand up and say, me, I'm the anxious one. Okay? All right. Anxious people, your nervous system says, I'm about to be abandoned, and goes into absolute overdrive. Okay? I'm going to be abandoned, overdrive. That's your pattern. Okay? Here's what happens. Let's break that down. First, the amygdala, the brain's threat detector, it lights up like a Christmas tree. It's screaming danger at top volume. Your body floods with cortisol and adrenaline. Your heart rate spikes, your stomach clenches, your chest gets tight. And this is where the behaviors start. Okay, you pursue. You text once, twice, 5 times, 17, right? You need to know where they are, what they're doing, if they're okay, if you're okay, if the relationship is okay. You create scenarios in your head about what this means. You ruminate. You catastrophize. Remember Jennifer M. from earlier? She said, Adam, I used to check my husband's location app several times daily. Every time he didn't text me back. I felt terrible about it. I walked on eggshells, fearing his cold, distant moods. That's the anxious response in action. Her nervous system was literally fighting for survival. Your nervous system is literally fighting for survival. Because to your attachment system, abandonment doesn't just mean sadness, it means death. When you were an infant, when this program was installed in you, being abandoned would actually have killed you. And that programming is still running. So now your nervous system treats relationship threats like life or death situations. I'm going to die because of a text. That's not you being silly. That's your programming. That's why the anxiety feels so overwhelming. That's why you can't just calm down or stop overthinking. Your brain stem is convinced you are in mortal danger. My anxious folks out there in chat right now, is this making sense to you? Drop me a yes in chat if this is making sense. I want to give this to you as an answer for why it's not your fault. You don't do those things because you're bad. You do them because of the programming installed. You're doing it to stay alive. It doesn't have to make logical sense. Okay? Drop me a yes in chat if this is making sense to you guys. Okay. Super Reborn says yes. Okay. Thank you. I'm glad this is resonating. Yes, Becky says. Okay, got it. I think so. Got it. Okay, yes. I've learned to manage some of this. I'm glad, Brittany. Let's go all the way and help you understand how to fully manage it. That's me. Yes. Good. Okay, it's resonating. I love that. Excellent. I know I'm on target. Okay. Avoidant people. Your nervous says, right? Your nervous system says something different. And drop me an avoidant in chat. When I'm writing shorthand notes, I put AVD, avoidant. Put avoidant in chat, right? Or drop a me in chat if you guys are avoidant here. If you're willing to admit it, right? You're singling yourself out. I understand that. But if you're willing to, drop me an avoidant just so I know how many of you are here today. I want to make sure I'm speaking to everybody who's here. Say, your nervous system, if you're avoidantly attached, as I'm waiting for your responses. There's one, avoidant. Thank you, Annie. I appreciate the bravery. Your nervous system says I'm about to be engulfed, and it shuts down to protect you. Okay? Your nervous system shuts down on purpose. Here's the process. Something happens that requires emotional intimacy, or it requires vulnerability from you. Okay? Maybe your partner wants to have a deep conversation about the relationship. We need to talk, right? Maybe they're just expressing emotions and they get pretty intense. Maybe they're asking you to open up and you don't know what they want. Your nervous system perceives this as a threat to your autonomy, your safety, your sense of self. That's when your dorsal vagal system kicks in. Okay, your vagus nerve, the dorsal side, shuts down. That's your shutdown response. Your system locks down. You might physically feel like you're behind glass, you're disconnected, you're numb, everything gets quieter, it's all tuned out. Your body at this point wants to escape. You might get irritable because you can't escape. You might suddenly need to run and do something else. You might get restless. You might go cold, distant, or shut down emotionally. You'll convince yourself you don't need anyone, that you're fine alone, that all of this emotional stuff is unnecessary. And I see the avoidance coming in. I see it. Okay. Avoidant, AVD. Yep. Easier to spell, huh? I like that. Got it. A few avoidants. Okay. Not quite as many as the anxious people in here. I see some avoidant and disorganized. We'll get to the disorganized here in a moment. I love that. Thank you guys for being honest here. Your nervous system, when it's doing this, is protecting you from perceived danger, because early in life, you learn that depending on other people led to disappointment or pain or engulfment. So your brain says, stay safe, stay distant. Don't let anyone get too close. One of my clients, Melissa T., her husband was doing this. Here's what she said. After 7 years of my husband shutting down during every important conversation, he finally started to open up and feel comfortable with me. When they came in, he couldn't. That was avoidant attachment. His nervous system was protecting him from perceived danger, and he was just as frustrated about it as she was. Okay? That's why vulnerability feels so dangerous. That's why you can't just open up more or be more emotionally available. Your nervous system is convinced that emotional intimacy will destroy you. Everybody out there right now, whether you're avoidant or not, I don't want to force you to single out here. If this is making sense to you about why avoidant people have this response, drop me a yes in chat. Okay, drop me a yes now if this avoidant piece is making sense. As I wait for those disorganized folks in the house, drop a me or a disorganized or just dis. Drop me a disorganized style in the chat and let me know if you guys are here. I've seen a few of you popping in saying it. Just hit me with a wall of it, okay? I know that the research shows that disorganized attachment style is skyrocketing. That's a lot more trauma, a lot more pain, a lot more disconnection. Okay, there's a lot of yeses coming in. Okay, the avoidant piece is making sense. I'm glad. Notice nowhere in there did I say avoidant people don't want love or hate people or are bad, right? The message so many people sometimes accidentally send or even meaningfully send. Okay, a lot of disorganized popping in as well. There we go. Disorganized in the house. Good to see you guys. Welcome in here today. You are fully accepted. Very glad you guys are here. Okay, the disorganized response, this is the most painful one. Your nervous system can't decide at all, okay, whether you should pursue people or withdraw. So it does both chaotically. This is especially loud disorganized, okay? Here's what this looks like. 1 minute you're all in. You want closeness, you're making plans, you're emotionally open. The next minute you're panicking, creating distance, picking fights, questioning everything. If you're quiet disorganized, you do this also, but on the inside, silently. Picking fights with yourself, creating distance inside yourself, questioning everything on a loop inside your head. You might chase the other person for connection and then maybe push them away or withdraw sharply. You want intimacy, but then you create drama or an excuse to escape it. If you ever feel safe, that's when it gets worse. You feel trapped then. I had a client the other day tell me, Adam, I'm safer than I've ever been with more connection than my family and friends I've ever had, and I've never felt more uncomfortable. They were at the beginning process, the beginning stages of fixing disorganized style. Their nervous system was still screaming at them, saying, safety is dangerous. Okay? Their emotions when you're disorganized style swing wildly because your nervous system is getting conflicting signals. This typically develops when early caregivers were both your source of safety and your source of fear and pain at the same time. You had to run toward them as an infant and child to get safe, but they also were the most terrifying person on the planet to you. They were totally inconsistent, and you were never really safe. Maybe you had a parent who was sometimes loving, sometimes terrifying. Maybe you experienced painful mistreatment from others that you depended on. Your nervous system learned that people you love can also hurt you and will, so it never knows whether to move closer or run away. This creates absolute chaos in relationships. Your partner never knows which version of you they're going to get. You don't even know which version you're going to be. It's exhausting for everyone. Okay? If this is making sense, drop a yes in the chat. I see the hearts and the 100. Oh, it's 100s. I see the 100s dropping. Okay? People say, I'm guilty of this. See that response, though. I'm guilty of this. The guilt, the shame, the pain, right? For having a response. I'm not here to shame anybody. I'm here to help you understand what's happening and help you fix it. Okay, drop a yes in chat if this is making sense. I see the yeses rolling in. There we go. There. Yep, my mother, eggshells, all of us kids, explosive anger. There you go. That's it. There we go. Now look at your screen, guys. See these responses. Hundreds of people here in this chat here today and in this live stream. Hundreds of people struggling with the same biological patterns. Okay? This is not a you problem. This is a nervous system program that got installed before you could even speak. And here's the kicker. These aren't choices. You didn't wake up one day and decide, I'm going to have an anxious attachment style today. You didn't say, I'm going to be avoidant from people. That sounds fun. You didn't say, I'm going to be disorganized and never feel safe again. These were hardwired into your nervous system. These are responses that got programmed into you through thousands of repeated experiences in your first few years of life. That's why it's so hard to fix. Now, this creates attachment patterns. It's powerful and painful because your nervous system, while trying to protect you, ends up creating the very outcome you fear most. Let me walk you through, first, exactly how each attachment pattern works. And as you listen to this, you will probably recognize more pieces of your own story. So many of you said so far that this is hitting hard, and you feel it, and you've lived it. Let's go deeper here. Okay, first, the anxious attachment pattern. If you have anxious attachment, your core fear is abandonment. Your nervous system, therefore, scans for even the smallest sign of disconnection. It reacts fast, often before you even realize what set it off. We talked about that. Anxious attachment tends to show up through hypervigilance about the relationship. You notice tiny little changes in tone and timing. It shows up through overfunctioning as well, right? You burn yourself out. You take responsibility for the emotional stability of the relationship. It shows up through asking for reassurance again and again because uncertainty feels unbearable. It shows up through over-explaining, trying to prevent conflict before it even starts. It shows up through people-pleasing, telling yourself that your needs can wait as long as the relationship stays intact. And it shows up through pursuing connection the moment you sense distance. Here's how that cycle plays out. You sense something is off, your nervous system panics, you reach for closeness, your partner feels pressure and pulls away, and that distance makes you feel unsafe. So you reach even harder. That makes them feel overwhelmed, so they retreat again. That cycle keeps spinning and spinning and spinning. Sarah M., who came into me, described it perfectly. She said that during conflict, her partner would disappear emotionally for days after one conversation. Then the more she tried to fix it, the more he pulled away even longer. Her pursuit activated his distance. His distance activated her anxiety. This, by the way, is the anxious attachment cycle in action, and that's how anxious and avoidant people feed off of each other in a negative sense. Now let's look at the avoidant attachment pattern. Okay? If you have avoidant attachment style, your core fear is being engulfed. You worry about losing yourself, being controlled, or being overwhelmed by someone else's emotional needs. Your nervous system reacts to closeness by creating distance, not because you do not care. And I want to hammer on that point. This is not because avoidant people don't care, but because closeness feels dangerous. Avoidant attachment style often shows up through emotional distancing. When the conversation becomes important, you shut down to keep yourself safe. It shows up through switching into tasks or work or anything that feels more manageable than emotional intimacy. It shows up through convincing yourself that you do not need support. It shows up through extreme independence. You would rather struggle alone than risk vulnerability. It shows up through mentally minimizing the relationship whenever the pressure feels too high. And it shows up through withdrawal during conflict. You become silent or cold so you can breathe again. Here is how this cycle plays out. Your partner reaches for connection. Your nervous system senses pressure and shuts down. You pull away. Your partner feels rejected and begins to pursue. Their pursuit increases your sense of pressure, so you withdraw even more. They try harder to reconnect. You retreat again. The cycle continues. Melissa T. described this clearly. She said that even after 7 years, her husband shut down every time they tried to talk about anything important. The more she reached for him, the more he pulled away. This did not happen because he didn't love her. It happened because his nervous system connected closeness with danger. Now let us talk about the disorganized attachment pattern. For so many of you here, right? So many of you. If you have disorganized attachment, you carry two survival fears at the same time. Trauma will do that. You fear abandonment and you fear engulfment. That means your nervous system gives two conflicting instructions. One part of you says, come closer. Another part says, pull away. It creates emotional chaos inside of you and confusion for the person who loves you. Disorganized attachment often shows up through reaching for intimacy and then suddenly panicking. You connect deeply one moment and question everything the next. It shows up through very fast bonding, followed by sudden fear, often at 90 days. It's usually what I look for. It shows up through emotional swings that even you cannot predict. It shows up through sabotaging the relationship the moment it finally feels stable. It shows up through testing behaviors, pushing the relationship to see if it will actually hold together. And it shows up through internal conflict that becomes visible chaos. Here's how this cycle plays out. You move toward intimacy, then you suddenly fear you're losing yourself. You create distance. Then your nervous system panics about being abandoned. So you move back toward closeness. Your partner, therefore, never really knows who's walking into the room that day. The relationship becomes unpredictable and emotionally exhausting for both of you. Now, this does not happen because you're dramatic, okay? You might be. You might be. That's okay. But it happens not because you're dramatic. It happens because your nervous system learned two opposite survival strategies at the same time. It's trying to protect you in two different directions at once. Now, let me ask you guys one more time here. Can you see your attachment pattern in these cycles? Everybody together. Anxious, avoidant, and disorganized. Give me a yes in the chat if this is feeling like you. If you've spent the last 30, 45, 75, what was the biggest one? 79. If you've spent your life feeling these things, give me a yes in chat. Okay? Because here's the truth. Your nervous system is still running childhood survival programming. It is still trying to protect you with strategies that no longer match your adult life. And until you rewire these patterns at the nervous system level, you will continue to repeat the same cycle. New partner, same pattern. New relationship, same familiar pain. That's why we see that as marriages go on, as you have one divorce after another, you are more likely to become divorced with each successive one. Not because divorce makes you love divorce. It's because the people who are most struggling in their relationships will actually get worse as they get more and more pain damaging them. Okay? Yes. Okay. Yes. I love this. Spot on. How crazy. Crazy. You got it. Yes, closeness is danger. Yes, okay. I love this, guys. Hell yes. There we go. See? I like the hell yes. It means it really hit. All right. So a lot of you are feeling this. Yes, quite disorganized. Got it. Welcome. Glad you're here. Okay. Your brain. You've been lied to. I'm going to be very clear, okay? I'm going to tell you something that you have been lied to for all of your life. Actually, science itself lied to you for a long time. There's the good news, okay, that changes absolutely everything. Your brain has something called neuroplasticity. Plasticity means moldable, by the way. Your brain is moldable. We used to believe this wasn't possible. We thought your brain would just form and that was it for the rest of your life. We now understand that is a lie. Your brain can change. This isn't wishful thinking or positive psychology fluff, by the way. This is hard neuroscience. In their landmark 2014 review called Adult Neuroplasticity, more than 40 years of research, okay, two neuroscientists proved, Fuchs and Flug, that the adult brain is far from being fixed. Environmental stimulation, learning, and relationships physically change the neuronal state, structures, and functions at any age of life. Any age, guys. 80 years old. And you can change your brain. Not your mind, not your feelings, your brain. I don't care if you're 25 or 65, some of you are 79. What the numbers you dropped in chat doesn't matter here. I don't care if you've had these patterns for 5 years, for 500 years somehow. Okay? Your brain maintains the ability to create new neural pathways throughout your entire life. But, and this is crucial, here's what nobody tells you about neuroplasticity. okay? It doesn't happen through insight or understanding. You can't read a book and change your brain patterns. Not how it works. You can understand your attachment patterns, backwards and forwards even, and nothing will change. You can read all the books in the world. Nothing will change. Remember earlier today, I talked to you about the therapy you've gone through, the books you've read, the courses maybe you've watched and didn't apply. That's why. This doesn't happen through positive thinking either. Okay? You can't think your way to new neural pathways. You could say affirmations all day long until you're exhausted, but your nervous system doesn't care. This also doesn't happen through wanting it badly enough. Some of the most unhappy people on the planet wish they felt better. Motivation and willpower are not enough either. Neuroplasticity happens through specific types of experiences only, types that teach your nervous system new patterns. It's very adaptive. Okay, think about it this way. You didn't develop your attachment pattern by learning about it intellectually. When you were 1 year old, you didn't read a book about how to become anxious. Sounds like a great idea. I will adopt this book immediately, restructure my brain. No, you developed it through thousands of repeated experiences with your early caregivers. Your nervous system learned through experience what to expect from relationships. For example, if you're anxiously attached, your brain learned when I cry, sometimes someone comes and sometimes they don't. That's you in the crib, learning to be anxious. If you're avoidantly attached, your brain learned when I show emotion, other people get uncomfortable or angry at me. That's you, as a child, learning to stop feeling. If you were disorganized, your brain learned this. When I need something, the person who's supposed to help me might also hurt me. That's you at 3 years old with clumsy language trying to tell someone you're hungry or sad, and they made it worse. Okay? Your brain changed through experiences. The good news is it can change again through new experiences, and we can prove it. We can literally watch this happen in brain scans. In 2012, neuroscientists Pagani and their colleagues used real-time EEG neuroimaging to monitor trauma patients during therapy sessions. And these were intensive therapy sessions, not talk therapy. They scanned 10 people with major psychological trauma during their first therapy session. Then again, after they'd completely processed their trauma at the end of an intensive therapy program. Then they followed up again 2 years later. This is good. Here's what the brain scans showed. Before, their prefrontal cortex, that judgment center of the brain, the orbital frontal cortex, and the anterior cingulate cortex, the area responsible for understanding emotional pain, by the way, all of them lit up wildly. Okay? The emotional and limbic processing systems dominated their entire brain. Their entire brain was dominated by fear and terror. The amygdala, this meant, was running the entire show. The fear-based center of the brain was the boss before they did this system. After all of that intensive programming, the activation shifted completely toward the temporo-occipital regions, okay? The cognitive and associative processes, think of it that way, the way you logically think and process, the higher versions of yourself, the best version of you. Okay? The prefrontal cortex, the judgment center of the brain, regained control. They proved this through brain scans. The clinical results were amazing. After an average of just 5 intense processing sessions, trauma symptoms disappeared completely off the brain. Depression scores dropped from clinical to what we call subclinical, meaning can't really even be detected, doesn't impact their life. At the 2-year follow-up, all of the patients were still symptom-free. This is your brain, measurably, visibly reorganizing itself, moving from the amygdala-driven reactivity to prefrontal cortex-mediated regulation, from implicit automatic trauma responses to explicit conscious processing. Those patterns were installed experientially through thousands of repetitions in your childhood, and they have to be rewired experientially through hundreds of new repetitions as an adult. But it works. We can see this on the scans. Your brain can change. Now, you need 2 things to rewire your attachment patterns. First, you need skills, specific regulation techniques for your nervous system, okay? These aren't generic coping skills, by the way. These are precise techniques tailored to your specific attachment style and the exact way your nervous system responds to triggers. Second, you have, and we talked about this, you have to have experiences, corrective experiences that prove to your nervous system that secure love is available, real, and safe. Your nervous system doesn't believe words or hypotheticals. It believes experiences. It demands repeated proof that secure attachment doesn't lead to abandonment or engulfment. Now, without the skills, you stay stuck because you can't regulate your nervous system when it gets triggered, and you can't make experiences happen if you can't communicate differently. And without the experiences, you stay stuck because your nervous system never learns with proof that there's a different, safer way to do relationships. Now, with both skills and experiences, transformation becomes inevitable. Let me tell you what happened with Tom and Lisa. Tom had avoidant attachment style and Lisa had anxious attachment. This is the classic pursue, withdraw pattern we've talked about here. Their old pattern was Lisa would try to connect after work by asking about Tom's day. Tom would give short answers because he needed time to decompress. Lisa would feel rejected and either chase harder or get hurt and withdraw. Tom would feel guilty but also relieved when she stopped bothering him. They both felt crushingly lonely in their relationship, okay? After learning the right skills and having the corrective experiences, here's what changed for them. Lisa, first, she learned to recognize when her attachment system was seeking connection and to actually ask for what she wanted. For example, hey, I'm feeling disconnected today. When you're ready, I'd love to hear about your day and talk with you about my day. All right? When you're ready, notice that phrasing. I'm feeling disconnected today, statement of need. These are skills, by the way. Without those, you can't do this. Tom learned to recognize when his nervous system needed space and to communicate that clearly. Hey, I need about 30 minutes to decompress, and then I'd love to connect with you. Put those together, okay? Hey, I'm feeling disconnected today. When you're ready, I'd love to hear about your day and tell you about mine. You know, that sounds great, but I need about 30 minutes to decompress first, and then I'd love to connect with you. There's an anxious and avoidant couple becoming secure together. Now, these weren't just communication techniques. They were nervous system regulation skills combined with experiences together that proved to both of them that their needs could coexist. That's the power of combining skills with corrective experiences. Not just understanding what's wrong, but building new neural pathways through repeated positive experiences. Now, here's the missing piece that most people don't understand, and this is critical. You cannot repair attachment patterns through cognitive work alone. Let me explain the neuroscience of why this matters. Your attachment style first lives in your limbic brain, specifically in structures like your amygdala, your hippocampus, your anterior cingulate cortex. You can look these up. They're very important to know, but these are the emotional, nonverbal parts of your brain. Most talk therapy and self-help programs focus on your prefrontal cortex, the thinking, verbal, logical part of your brain. These are two completely different systems that process information in totally different ways. Your prefrontal cortex processes language, logic, reasoning. It's slow, it's deliberate, it's conscious. Your limbic system processes emotions, memories, threats. It's fast, automatic, unconscious. When you do traditional talk therapy, you're working with your prefrontal cortex. You're analyzing, you're understanding, you're making connections. And that's all valuable, sure, but your attachment patterns don't live there, so you're not touching the part of your brain that needs fixing. Remember what Lisa told me after 2 years of couples therapy. We communicate perfectly now, but I still feel like he doesn't really see me. It's like we're having very polite conversations with strangers. That's because she and John had mastered the prefrontal cortex work, communication, I statements, active listening. But their limbic systems, where their attachment patterns actually lived, hadn't changed at all. It's like trying to teach someone to swim by explaining the theory of buoyancy. You can give them a perfect lecture on water density, body composition, the physics of floating. They can understand it perfectly and ace it on a test, but that doesn't mean they can swim. They need to get in the water. They need to feel what floating feels like. They need to feel their body to be able to learn, not just do it in their mind. The same is true for attachment. You need experiential learning, not just intellectual understanding. Your nervous system needs to feel what secure attachment feels like. It needs repeated experiences of safety. It needs connection. It needs emotional regulation. It needs to build new neural pathways through practice, not just understanding. This is why you can spend years in therapy understanding your childhood, analyzing your patterns, having incredible insights, and still get triggered the exact same way. because insight lives in your prefrontal cortex, but your attachment patterns live in your limbic system. You got it now? Is that making sense? And the limbic system doesn't speak the language of insight. I hope this is... Drop me an aha in chat, guys. If this is making sense, give me an aha. I want to see that, right? Different parts of your brain. I doubt any of you have learned about that in therapy, but different parts of your brain. Give me an aha in chat if this is hitting home. Okay? Now, through working with over 1,600 people myself, just in coaching alone, I have mapped out the specific skills that each attachment style is missing. And here's what's important to understand. These aren't personality flaws. Okay? They're not character defects. I want to be very clear. I'm not judging anyone here for this. Okay? I see the ahas going now in chat. Love that. Aha! I love all the caps. OMG, yes. Thank you. There we go. Aha. Ha ha. There we go. There's the aha moments. See? Here we go. I love this. Good, good, good. I'm glad. This was the aha moment for me as well, you guys, when I was 20 years old. This is what changed everything for me. I'm glad it's resonating, okay? These problems here, they're not personality flaws or character defects. They are neurological capabilities that were never developed because your early environment didn't support them. Think of it this way. If you grew up in a household where nobody speaks French, you don't develop French language skills. Not because you're incapable of learning French, but because you were never exposed to it. That's common sense, right? Now, the same is true for attachment skills. If your early environment didn't teach emotional and relational capabilities, you didn't develop them. Not because you're broken somehow, but because you never had the opportunity to build those neural pathways. So let's go through some of those skills. If you have anxious attachment, you're missing the following, okay? First, emotional self-regulation when you're triggered. When your abandonment fear kicks in, you can't calm yourself down. Instead, your nervous system floods and you have no internal brake system. Jennifer M. said it great. She said, I used to check my husband's location app several times daily and I felt terrible about it. She knew it was wrong, but she couldn't stop herself because she lacked the self-regulation skill. Number two, second skill you're missing, the ability to self-soothe without external validation. You never learned how to create your own sense of safety and security. You learned that security comes from other people. Remember the child crying in the crib. So you're constantly looking outside of yourself for proof that you're okay. Skill number three, trust that love exists even when you can't see it. Okay, this is called emotional impermanence. When your partner isn't physically present or actively demonstrating love, you can't hold on to the sense that they still love you. Out of sight really does mean out of mind for your nervous system. Skill number four, differentiation between the past and the present. Your nervous system treats every small distance or perceived rejection as proof of imminent abandonment because it's still operating from childhood experiences where inconsistent love really was dangerous. Okay? Now, if you're avoidantly attached, and those skills are right there on the screen, you're welcome to write those down. Okay? If you're avoidantly attached, you're missing the following skills. First, emotional recognition and expression. You can't always identify what you're feeling. Remember Melissa T's husband? After 7 years of my husband shutting down during every important conversation, right? He wasn't choosing to shut down. He had never developed the skill of recognizing and expressing emotions in the moment. Skill number two, the ability to receive care without feeling threatened. Rebecca T said this best. I found myself stiffening when my husband touched me. I wanted closeness, but my body said no. Now, that's not a choice she was making any more than it's a choice you're making. That's a missing skill. Her nervous system never learned that accepting care could feel safe, that you can receive love without losing yourself. Skill number three, trust that intimacy won't lead to engulfment. Every step toward deeper connection feels dangerous for avoidant attachment style. Your nervous system's convinced that if you let someone truly in, you'll be consumed, controlled, or lose your autonomy. And skill number four, vulnerability as a pathway to connection. Your learning showed you that vulnerability led to pain or disappointment. So your nervous system treats emotional exposure as a threat to avoid at all costs. Now, if you have disorganized attachment style, many of you do, shout out to you guys again, you're missing these four skills. Consistent emotional regulation strategies first. Your nervous system never learned a coherent strategy for managing your emotions or threats. So it swings wildly between anxious and avoidant responses, sometimes within the same interaction. Skill number 2, the ability to predict and trust patterns. Because early relationships were so chaotic and unpredictable for you. You never developed the ability to trust that patterns will hold. Even when a relationship is stable, now you're waiting for the other shoe to drop. Remember my client I talked about earlier? I'd never felt more uncomfortable as I was more loved than ever before. Skill number 3, a coherent sense of self in relationships. Your sense of who you are shifts dramatically depending on relationship context. You might feel solid and confident alone, but in close relationships, you lose track of yourself. And finally, skill number 4, integration of contradictory feelings. This is actually a skill you're supposed to learn as a kid. You can want closeness and fear it at the same time. Some people do. You can love someone and fear them. Your nervous system never learned how to hold both feelings at once in a coherent way and still maintain control. So you swing between the extremes. Now, guys, look at this, okay? Look at this. Look at the list for your attachment style. Can you see how not having these skills guarantees relationship problems? Are you seeing the gap now? Look at your attachment style and tell me if you see the gap. Give me a yes in chat if you can identify which of these skills you're missing. Okay, give me a yes in chat. I'm going to wait for those. The good news here, as I'm waiting for that, skills can be learned. Neural pathways can be built. Your brain has the capacity to develop these capabilities at any age. But you need the right training. You need someone who understands exactly which skills your nervous system is missing and how to build them step by step, because these are only some skills. Okay? I would have spent this whole gigantic masterclass just naming skills if I tried to put all of them on, and I still wouldn't even get them all. Yes, okay, yep, with a sigh. I'm missing all 4 of those skills. See? Yes, I see the gap. There we go. All of the above. Yes. Yes, there we go. I have characteristics of all 3. Probably disorganized style there, Christy. That's probably what that is. Okay? That's the piece. Now, with that in mind, yes, I struggle with things from each. That could be that disorganized piece. Okay? Talking about training now. That's supposed to say real love, and that's okay. I need to be direct with you about something. And this is going to be hard for you to hear, but it is very important, okay? You've probably been settling for crumbs in your relationships. I don't know a nicer way to say it than that. You've been telling yourself it's better than nothing. You've been convincing yourself this is just how love works, that everybody struggles like this. But I'm going to be clear, that is your attachment pattern talking. Let me paint you a picture of what real love, what secure love actually looks like. It doesn't feel like walking on eggshells, constantly monitoring your partner's mood, by the way, or trying to gauge if they're going to pull away or blow up. Okay, remember Jennifer M? I walked on eggshells, fearing his cold, distant moods. That's not real love. That's anxious attachment creating a prison. It doesn't feel like constant anxiety about being abandoned, checking your phone every 5 minutes, creating scenarios in your head about what silence means. It doesn't also, by the way, feel like suffocation or engulfment, like you're losing yourself, like you have to choose between connection and autonomy, right? That's not real love. That's avoidant attachment style creating walls. Real love feels like safety, bone level safety, like you can fully exhale. Like you can be yourself completely without fear of rejection or judgment. Real love feels like peace, and not boring peace, the kind of peace where you're not spending all your energy maintaining and managing your anxiety or building walls against people. Peace. Real love feels like being able to be fully yourself, expressing your emotions without fear that they'll be used against you, having needs without shame, being vulnerable without terror. Okay? And here's what I really need you to understand. That's not a fairy tale. That's not only for lucky people who happen to have perfect childhoods. That's what happens when 2 people with secure attachment or remade secure attachment connect. Listen to what happened when people finally did this work. You've heard the difficult parts of these people's story. Let me tell you the good parts. Jennifer M. said it this way: after learning my attachment pattern, everything made sense. Within weeks of following my personalized plan, I stopped checking his location. I didn't even feel the urge anymore. My husband noticed the change. He said I seemed way more relaxed. Rebecca T. said it this way: the assessment identified my attachment pattern. It explained my physical reactions. My custom plan addressed exactly what I needed. Recently, I reached for my husband's hand first. I didn't wait for him to reach for mine. Melissa T. said it this one. I love this one. Last night, he told me things he's never shared with anyone, even his therapist. That's what secure attachment feels like. And you can have it too, but you have to stop settling for less than you deserve. So many of you are. And that breaks my heart. Now, here's the truth about building secure attachment. You build it one experience at a time. You may have seen certain patterns show up with each attachment style. Okay, the pursuit and protest when you sense distance, the compulsive caretaking to feel valuable, the principled distance to avoid vulnerability, the explosive chaos when intimacy feels threatening. Those patterns, they run automatically because they've been reinforced thousands of times over decades. Your neural pathways are deeply grooved now. Your neurochemistry is programmed to respond in specific ways. You don't try to force yourself to erase those patterns, okay? You can't delete them through mental effort alone. You can interrupt them and build competing pathways that eventually become stronger and replace those old patterns. Did you catch that? You interrupt them and replace them. Every time you catch your trigger before it fully activates, when you notice my chest is getting tight, hey, my partner just needed space, hey, I'm about to chase, that's interrupting the pursuit and protest pattern before it runs. Every time you use a pattern interrupt, leaving the room for 20 minutes instead of texting them obsessively, or staying physically present instead of withdrawing when emotions rise, instead of noticing, right, that you're disappearing, but you're choosing to stay present and ask for help instead. That's choosing a new pathway instead of the automatic one. Every time you regulate your nervous system, instead of spiraling into anxiety, you do box breathing when you feel that cortisol flood. You do bilateral stimulation when your amygdala hijacks you. You put cold water on your face when you're about to explode. That's building new neural pathways. Every time you stay present during an emotional conversation, instead of shutting down, softening your body when you want to cross your arms, or maintaining eye contact when you want to look away, when you're saying, I want to shut down, but I'm choosing to stay present, that's strengthening new patterns. Every interaction where you express a need without shame, asking for support without having to earn it first, saying, I need reassurance right now, instead of testing them to see if they'll notice, or admitting I'm struggling, instead of pretending you're fine, that's rewiring your attachment system. Every experience where someone responds to your vulnerability with care instead of judgment, where they come back after needing space instead of abandoning you, where they stay through your dysregulation instead of leaving, where they see you and know that you're still safe, that's proving to your nervous system that secure love is possible. And here's what most people miss. Every time you mess up and successfully repair, recognizing that your pattern ran, resetting your nervous system, taking responsibility without being defensive, initiating repair within 24 hours, there's a rule, going through the full repair sequence, that's building trust. Building trust that ruptures can be repaired, that mistakes don't end relationships, that you can come back to connection. Even repairing after the problem still helps. This is not one breakthrough moment you're looking for. It's hundreds of small experiences that accumulate over time, building new neural pathways, teaching your nervous system a different way to do relationships. Catherine said it beautifully. I could not have anticipated the progress and growth I would experience as part of this program. I began the program with a highly anxious attachment style, and I felt emotionally dysregulated on a daily basis. This program taught me to value myself the way I've always valued others. I want you to think of this like learning a new language. You don't become fluent overnight. You learn one word, one phrase, one sentence at a time. You practice, you make mistakes, you try again, and gradually, without even realizing it, you start thinking in the new language. The same is true for attachment. You're learning a new language of relationships, one pattern interrupt at a time. One regulated response at a time, one successful repair at a time, one experience at a time. You're teaching your nervous system that secure love is safe. Now, let me be crystal clear about what's actually required to transform your attachment patterns. And this is no fluff, no false promises, just the truth. First, You need to understand your specific patterns with precision, not vague categories like I'm anxious, but exactly how your nervous system responds. What specifically triggers you? What does your body do when triggered? What automatic thoughts come up for you? Okay? What behaviors do you default to? What are you trying to accomplish with those behaviors? You need this level of detail because generic advice doesn't work. Anxious people need to be less needy, right? That's useless. But when you feel abandoned, your nervous system floods with cortisol, your chest gets tight, and you automatically reach for your phone to text them. And what you're actually trying to do is create proof that they haven't left you, right? That's specific enough to now begin working with. Once you have that, second, you need to master pattern interrupts that actually work. And this is not just willpower, not self-awareness. It's specific neurological interventions that stop your pattern mid-activation and return control from your amygdala to your prefrontal cortex. And there are 4 types of interrupts. You need to know all of them, okay? And you need to have all of them. First is physical interrupts. This might be creating space, bilateral stimulation, cold water in your face. You interrupt with your body. Second, cognitive interrupts. Naming the pattern out loud. Engaging your left hemisphere to counter your right brain emotional flooding. Okay, number 3, somatic interrupts, breathing techniques, body awareness, feeling without acting, sensing your body. And number 4 is relational interrupts, telling your partner, hey, I'm triggered right now. I'm not actually upset with you. I'm activated right now. I'm feeling stress right now. This isn't about you. Each attachment style needs different interrupts. Anxious patterns need space creation. Avoidant patterns need staying present despite the urge to flee. Disorganized folks, for you, you need immediate removal before escalation. Pause, remove, calm down, come back. Okay? The interrupts work by shifting you from right brain emotional dominance to left brain integration. That re-engages your prefrontal cortex, it rebalances your neurochemistry, and it preserves accurate memory before your pattern distorts it. That's important. Now, without interrupts, every time your pattern runs, you're strengthening that neural pathway, making it easier to get triggered next time, harder to stop. You're training your brain to react automatically. That's why we have to interrupt it and master those interrupts. That allows you to, third, build the specific skills your attachment style lacks. We talked about those. Not generic relationship skills, by the way, not communication techniques, the precise neurological capabilities that your early environment never taught you to develop. If you're anxious, we talked about this, you need to build self-regulation, distress tolerance, reality testing. If you're avoidant, you need to build vulnerability expression, emotional tolerance, and interdependence capacity. If you're disorganized, you need to build emotional regulation and coherent communication. These are skills like playing a piano or speaking a language. They can be learned, but they require structured training and practice. Fourth, you need guided experiences that prove to your nervous system that secure patterns are safe. Not just random practice, specific experiences designed to rewire your neural pathways. Experiences that are challenging enough to create growth, but safe enough that your nervous system can tolerate them. This is what we call disconfirming experiences, where the outcome is the opposite of your prediction. Corrective emotional experiences where your emotions are met differently than they were in childhood. Novel pattern experiences, whole new behaviors that help you experience safety. Remember what Kim said to me. Jeremy gave me excellent, secure, attached regulation routines. Great boundaries to set once I began dating. I was worth the investment, and so should anyone who wants peace of mind. She didn't just learn about boundaries. She had guided experiences, practicing them in safe contexts, building the neural pathways she needed. And fifth, you need a repair protocol for when patterns resurface, because they will. Not if, but when. Having a protocol for relapse is the difference between having one setback and complete derailment. There are 4 R's of relapse recovery. First, recognize. You name the exact pattern that ran, you identify the trigger, and you acknowledge the behavior. Second, reset. You regulate your nervous system before attempting anything else. Box breathing, cold water, 15 to 20 minutes minimum, right? Disconnection. We talked about that. Reset the nervous system. Third, take responsibility. You own the pattern to yourself and others without justifying or defensiveness. And this is not shame. This is what I just did. Okay? Own it out loud. And number 4, repair. Use the specific repair sequence. You reconnect. You validate the other person's experience. You take responsibility, you ask what they need, you make concrete amends, and you prevent and discuss prevention for the future. How do we make sure this doesn't happen again? You initiate this repair within 24 hours if possible. Sooner if the relationship is highly activated, but only after you've reset your nervous system first. Trying to repair while you're still dysregulated creates a second rupture. This repair protocol doesn't just fix the immediate damage. It builds trust over time by showing your nervous system that ruptures can be repaired, that mistakes don't have to be relationship ending, and that you can mess up and still come back to connection. Things that you never learned in your childhood. So let me ask you something, and I want you to really sit with this question. Okay? You put out your numbers of how long you've lived with this and how much you've spent. Some of you, it's in the 70s. 60s, 40s, 50, right? How much longer are you willing to live like this? How many more relationships are you willing to sabotage because your nervous system is running programs from childhood? How many more years of life are you willing to spend feeling abandoned, lonely, confused, betrayed, or misunderstood? How many more nights lying awake at 2 a.m.? How many nights lying awake at 2 a.m. with your chest tight, wondering why you can't feel safe? Let's talk about some real numbers because this does matter, okay? For those of you out there who said you were in therapy, get this. The average person spends between 50 and 100 therapy sessions addressing attachment issues. And that's 50 to 100 hours, okay? That's 1 to 2 years of weekly sessions. And that's if, there's a big if, their therapist actually understands attachment neuroscience, which most don't. Jenny, when she came to me, said, we spent 2 years in couples therapy, felt like we had nothing to show for it. I've had clients come in with 20 years of therapy and said they felt like they had nothing to show for it. Okay? 2 years is 104 weeks. That's over 100 hours of her life spent on therapy that didn't address the root cause. At $100 a session, that's $10,000 for nothing. Speaking of money, the financial cost. If you don't address the attachment patterns, remember that the average divorce costs between $25,000 and $100,000. Some of you put your costs up at $100,000 plus. Plus the emotional cost, plus the cost of starting over, plus potentially passing these patterns to your children. There's also the opportunity cost. Every day you wait is another day your nervous system stays stuck in these patterns. Another day you're missing out on secure love. Another day that you're passing these patterns to your kids. Another day you're building resentment and distance in your current relationship. Think about how much energy you're spending right now managing your attachment anxieties, or your avoidant shutdown, or your disorganized chaos. That's energy you could be using to build a life you love, to pursue your goals, to actually enjoy your relationships. Here's a good number I want to hear from you guys. Chat. Put a number in the chat. On a scale of 1 to 10, how exhausted are you from managing these patterns? 10 meaning, Adam, I am done. I am exhausted. 1 to 10, give me a number. How exhausted are you from managing this? Okay? 1 to 10, let me know. And that's on a little bit of a delay, but I'm paying attention here. Okay? Here's the thing, guys. Waiting doesn't make it better. You know that now. Your attachment patterns don't improve with age magically. They don't fix themselves. Without interventions, they stay exactly the same or get worse. The question isn't whether you want to invest in repairing your attachment patterns. The question is how much more time, energy, and relationships are you willing to lose before you do? How much are you willing to lose? 100 out of 10. There you go, Vanessa. 100 out of 10. 50 out of 10. 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 100 out of 10. I'm done, totally mentally exhausted. If I'm being really honest, I gave up years ago. I'm disabling exhausted, 10 plus. I hear you guys, 8 out of 10, 5 out of 10. Okay, all right. You'll get there, trust me. 10 out of 10, done, 10 out of 10, 9. Look at that, okay? That's why you guys are here. That's why you guys are here, and that's exactly why I'm doing this. Okay, that is exactly why I'm doing this and talking like this here today. It's exactly why I want to help. I'm going to do this. Hello again. I've been here the whole time. There's object permanence. There's emotional impermanence. You can hear my voice. There you go. Okay? We've covered a lot in the last hour and a half or so together. Let me recap what you now understand. You understand why your attachment patterns keep sabotaging your relationships, because they're hardwired nervous system responses. They're not just feelings and things that you choose to do, and they fire faster than conscious thought. You understand how your nervous system creates the very thing that you fear most, okay? Through the attachment trap where protective behaviors create the outcomes that you're trying to avoid. Do you understand what's exactly required from you to rewire these patterns now? I gave you the skills, right? Plus the corrective experiences that prove to your nervous system that secure love is safe. And you understand why everything else you've tried has failed, because insight and willpower don't rewire nervous systems. But understanding, it's not enough, right? You've probably understood your patterns for years. You can trace them back to childhood. Great. You know what you should do different. You understand why you react the way you do. And you're still struggling because understanding lives in your thinking brain. You got that now? Your attachment patterns live in your nervous system. What you need is a systemic way to actually change those patterns, not just understand them, transform them. Okay? Guys, I would love, drop a yes. You're right down here. Drop yes in the chat if you're ready to stop understanding your patterns and start transforming them. And I'm on a delay, so drop a yes down here in the chat, okay? Drop me a yes if you're ready to finally stop dealing with this. If you're ready to move on. Give me a yes. A lot of you said 10 out of 10, so I expect a lot of yeses down here in chat. I'm looking down here. Okay, a lot of yeses should be coming because you're 10 out of 10. You're 100 out of 10. You're 50 out of 10. You're 9 out of 10. There's the yeses. There we go. Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you, Justin America. Thank you, Diana. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Annie. Thank you, Mari. A lot of you in here. There we go. Yes, there's the flood. Here we go. See, a lot of people are ready. Thank you. Thank you for being ready to change this because you make the world better when you change it. I'm here to help 1 billion people. Here we are. All right. Okay. You ready? Let's do this. Okay. I need to talk to you about timing. Okay. What I'm about to share with you is the opportunity that you have been waiting for, if you're ready. Okay? Because what's happening right now is something very significant. My complete attachment transformation system is available year-round. You know this, at a full price. People invest in these courses every single day because they're ready to change their lives. But once a year, I open up my entire system at significant discounts. And you know, if you've been on this channel for a long time, that happens during Black Friday. This isn't about me trying to create fake urgency, by the way, or manipulate you into buying. This is about giving people who are ready to transform their lives forever access to these resources at the most accessible prices of the entire year. Right now, you're in a 72-hour window where everything I've built to help people rewire their attachment patterns is available at the biggest discounts of the year. After these 72 hours, these prices are gone. Not for a month, not till the next sale. They're gone till next year's Black Friday. I do this once a year. So the question you need to ask yourself isn't just, do I want to change my attachment patterns? It's, am I willing to wait another year, to add one more year to that list of numbers I put at the beginning, the years I've waited, and lose another year of my life to these patterns? Because that's what waiting means. I did it at 20, and I'm so thankful I did. I'm glad I'm not doing it at 40, okay? Another year of the same struggles means another year doing the same relationship patterns. Another year feeling abandoned or lonely or confused or betrayed. Only you can decide for yourself right now if now is the right time, okay? I've structured this so that you can engage at whatever level makes sense for you. Maybe you just want to focus on your specific attachment style. Start there. Maybe you're in a relationship with someone who has a different style, and you need to understand both. There's an option for that. Maybe you're serious about complete mastery, and you want to understand all the styles deeply. There's an option for that too. And for those of you who want accelerated results with personal support, there is coaching available, okay? Let me break down the exact options for you here, okay? I'm going to go through this really quick for you. All right. Flip over to, aha. No, right here. Here we go. Okay, right here. I want to show you how this works. So when you go to the website, adamlanesmith.com, /black-Friday, it's been on every slide, shouldn't be a surprise, okay? And it should be dropped in chat and pinned there as well. You go onto my website, and here it is, okay? You're going to scroll down right here. This is where it gets good, okay? For Black Friday only, you're going to select self-driven learning or expert-led programs, okay? If you are ready to begin, but you want to learn at your own pace, you want to study, you want to grow, you want to get the pieces and then do the experiences and skill trainings yourself, I've got you. Not a problem. And you get to up to 60% off. If you're wanting expert-led accelerated coaching programs, up to 30% off right now. Let me show you how this works. It's very intuitive and comfortable, but I want to show you so you don't get overwhelmed when you go here, okay? Here's how this game works. Up at the top, buy one program, you get 30% off that program. Buy two programs, 45% off that total with one free gift. Up here at the top, buy three programs, 55% off with three free gifts. Buy four programs or more, 60% off the total with 5 free gifts. I'm going to show you what these are. I don't want you to be surprised, okay? You'll be surprised in a good way. Okay, here's what you do. Maybe you want to build a secure marriage. Maybe you're married or you want to learn what marriage is supposed to look like. I'm going to add that to my bundle. Over here it shows you, boom, 30% off. You can stop there if you want. Or you say, you know what, Adam? I also have children and I want to learn how to co-parent and build loving intimacy with my kids and go from chaos in my home to calm and love and give my kids secure attachment. Cool. Add to bundle. Woo. 45% off plus a free gift. We're going to talk about selecting your gifts here in a moment, okay? Maybe you say, Adam, I'm an anxiously attached woman. I have an avoidant husband. He's a good man. I want to learn how to connect with him in a way that feels right to him. Cool. How to love an avoidant man. This course was built for everybody here. By the way, this course came from all of you saying, I need this. So here you go. Add to bundle. Boom. 55% off, 3 free gifts. Avoidant people take that course, by the way, and say, yes, this is what I've always needed, but never knew how to articulate to somebody. There you go. Now, maybe you want to learn about your attachment styles. You could take the attachment boot camp to reprogram your attachment pieces, or, and this was good, the decoding your attachment styles course, a deep neurological understanding of exact attachment patterns and how to begin interrupting them. If that part was great for you earlier, the skill training, the pattern interrupts, this is going to be great for you. We just released this. Add to bundle. Now look over here. 60% off with 5 free gifts. There they are. Price is maxed out. Now I'm going to go select gifts. How to bond with an avoidant man. A detailed step-by-step guide. Yes, please. Okay. Ooh, you qualify for 5. How to talk to an avoidant man. Yep. Add that one. Mini course or mini scripts with setups of exactly word for word how to talk to them in a way that makes sense. 30 conversation starters for curiosity, safety, and shared meaning. I like that. That works for me. You know what, Adam? I can't relax my nervous system. So here's me voicing a script for exact muscle relaxation. Ooh, I'll take that one. Thank you very much. Here's Adam's books. Oh, you know what I need? A transformation calendar with daily exercises to transform my behavior patterns. Yeah, I'll take that. 5 gifts. Done. Look at that. 5 out of 5. Here we go. And you roll through and make that change. All of that. Look at that. Okay? Now, we also have coaching programs. Maybe you're ready to get started here. Maybe you're ready to move in on group coaching or do assessment and parenting. Maybe you want to figure out how to parent your child better or figure out your own patterns or figure out as a couple what to do and how to grow forward, right? Maybe you need those things. And if you do, I want to introduce you to my amazing team. These are my coaches. I'm on a quest. I'm on a mission to help 1 billion people build secure attachment, to build connection. Okay? Uh-oh. I'm too zoomed in. There we go. Sorry, guys. I just realized I was way too zoomed in on these attachment bundles. Here we go. Okay? This is what it looks like when you're done. You're selecting, you pick, you go right over here, secure parenting, and then you select those gifts. There we go. That's what that looks like. Now, I told you, I'm on a mission to bring secure attachment to 1 billion people. I told you at the beginning of this, I can't do that by myself. I can't fix that myself, okay? So all of these pieces will help you. But this is not the whole story. This is the story. This is a big part of the story. When you need dedicated help and dedicated training, these are my hand-picked, certified attachment specialists and coaches that I'm training myself, that I'm working with daily. They come with incredible experiences themselves. This is decades and decades of accumulated experience right here on this page. These are people I trust to help people out there in the world. Okay? When you need accelerated help and therapy hasn't helped you, these are the people that will. Now you can come in and pick those things up and do an assessment with those people right here. Maybe you need help from Lisa for your parenting. Okay? Maybe you need help from Alyssa with couples coaching. Maybe you need help from Linda or Rena or Jeremy with solo work, right? All of them can do all of these pieces together. They have amazing specialties, right? All of these pieces together. Get your assessments going. Couples, you each get your individual assessments, which is really helpful. Okay? Now, this is an 80-minute session assessing you at the deepest levels with a 30-minute relationship strategy call after that so that you can really understand what's needed. Okay? Deep assessment, deep strategy call after that. If you really want to understand, we got you. Okay? Now, this is my life's work. My life's work is being passed on to these people as well. As we're building that institute I told you about, this is my life's work. I need to help people. This is my purpose. This is what I'm doing. I have to. Cool. All right. Now, as we go through this together, okay? Very important that I help you understand something very, very, very key. Where is my, here it is. Here we go. There we go. Ongoing coaching support. Okay? I need you to understand something here. This is not something you will do all alone. This is not something that you need to do all alone. Because here's the truth. Courses show you what's broken. They give you the tools to fix it. Excellent. My courses are built for that. People achieve amazing growth with that. But coaching goes deeper. It works through the core beliefs that keep you trapped in these patterns. And if you feel that you need more one-on-one support to rewire those beliefs that are driving your pain, coaching gives you that personalized guidance. Jenny said it best. We spent 2 years in couples therapy. In the end, we felt like we had nothing to show for it. We worked with Alyssa for 6 months, and I can honestly say this program is life-changing. We came farther in 6 months of coaching, both on a personal level and as a couple, than anything marriage counseling ever touched. This coaching saved our marriage. That's 2 years of traditional therapy still trapped in pain. 2 years watching their marriage die, okay? 6 months of attachment-focused coaching, boom, marriage saved. That's the difference. Coaching works through the deeper beliefs that courses can identify, but they can't always dismantle fully on their own. Now, because our coaching team works very closely with each client and needs to understand your specific situation, you can't add coaching directly at the checkout, okay? Here's what you can do. During checkout, you'll see an option to mark that you're interested in coaching. When you check that box, our team will reach out to schedule a call with you where we'll discuss your pain points, your relationship goals, and which coaching package will get you out of this cycle fastest. Okay? Coaching during this Black Friday event is available at up to 30% off our normal rates. When you mark that interest in coaching during checkout, you're going to get a couple things. First, up to 30% off your coaching rates. You're going to get a flexible coaching package that's based on your personal needs. And you'll have the option to combine group and individual coaching. Now, to secure your discount, just select the coaching interest box at checkout. Our team will reach out and schedule that call with you. However, spots are granted on a first-come, first-served basis, and they do fill up very fast every year. People who've been here in the past years, you know, it fills up quick. So get in now if you're wanting to make this change. If you don't want another year to go by trapped in that same pain, just check that box as you're checking out. We'll get in touch. Now, here's something else that matters, the timing. Your pain isn't getting better on its own. Every day that you wait is another day trapped in the same fear, the same anxiety, and the same hurt. Let me break down for you what waiting actually costs. If you wait one more week, that's 7 more nights lying awake replaying the same argument in your head. That's 7 more days walking on eggshells, afraid to say the wrong thing. 7 more days watching the person you love most pull away while you spiral in panic, wondering what's going to happen. If you wait 1 month, that's 30 more days of your nervous system firing the same fear response. Every time you feel that knot in your stomach when you don't get a text back, every time you shut down to avoid getting hurt, every time you chase them and push them further away, you're not just staying stuck, by the way, in these moments. You're training your brain that this is how relationships feel and will always feel. If you wait 6 months, that's half a year of damage. Half a year of your partner experiencing your triggered behaviors and deciding whether they can live with this. Half a year of your children watching you model anxious love or emotional distance. Half a year of missing out on secure relationships because you're too afraid to trust anyone. And if you wait a full year, think about where you were a year ago. Are you closer to secure attachment now, or are you deeper in the same pattern? Most people who wait a year aren't in the same place. They're usually worse. Okay? The partner who was pulling away is now gone. The marriage that was struggling is now on the brink. The fear that was manageable is now constant. Here's what I know about attachment patterns. They compound. The longer you run them, the stronger they get, and the more evidence that your brain collects that love isn't safe. Every failed relationship becomes proof that you can't trust anyone. Every time someone pulls away becomes proof that you're too much. Every time you shut down becomes proof that vulnerability leads to pain. Now, you're not just wasting time here. You're making it harder and harder to break free. Now, here's the other side of that, okay? The sooner you start, the faster that pain stops. Because neuroplasticity works both ways. You can rewire these patterns, but you have to stop strengthening the old ones first. The pain doesn't go away by ignoring it. It goes away by facing it with the right tools. So don't let another year go by trapped in that same fear, please. You guys saw the numbers in chat. Those people who are 20 years in, 30 years in, 40 years in, please don't come back when you're 75 years in and still haven't fixed it. Please fix it today and start finding real love, real connection, okay? Now, there's some real questions I get from people. I love real questions, okay? What if this doesn't work for me? Some of you might be thinking, Adam, I've tried everything already. What if this doesn't work either? What if I'm the one person who can't be helped? I get that one a lot. Okay, I get it. I really do. You've been disappointed before. You've invested time, money, hope, years, we talked about that, into solutions that didn't deliver. You've started to believe maybe you're just broken, maybe you're beyond help. So let me tell you something right now. You are not broken. You're not beyond help. And here's why this is different. This is not an information program. Okay? You already know that you shouldn't text him 47 times when he doesn't respond for a few hours. You already know that you shouldn't shut down emotionally during important conversations. You already know that you shouldn't create chaos when things get too close. You know that. The problem isn't that you don't know better. The problem is that your nervous system overrides that knowledge in 0.3 seconds. That's why this is a nervous system problem. And nervous system problems require nervous system solutions, not insight, not understanding, not willpower, actual regulation techniques and corrective experiences that rewire your neural pathways. This program teaches you how to regulate your nervous system in real time. That's not something you can learn from a generic relationship book or from a therapist who doesn't understand attachment neuroscience. Remember Lisa and John? They came to me after 2 years of couples therapy. 2 years. That's nothing compared to most of my clients, where they had learned all the communication techniques. They could do active listening. They used I statements. They had those weekly relationship check-ins. They were more miserable than they'd ever been. Why? Because they were getting cognitive interventions for a nervous system problem. Their therapist was teaching their prefrontal cortex, but their attachment patterns lived in their limbic system. That's why within weeks of learning actual nervous system regulation techniques specific to their attachment styles, they started seeing real change. That's what happens when you address the actual problem. But here's my promise to you. Okay? All of my courses and guides come with a 14-day money-back guarantee to make sure you are completely satisfied. No questions asked. Now, coaching itself does require an actual commitment, but if you choose to work with my team and me, I will personally make sure that you're receiving the value you're signed up for. Now, here's another one I hear. I don't have time for this. I hear some of you saying, Adam, this sounds great, but I don't have time. I'm already overwhelmed. I can't add another thing to my plate. Let me ask you something. How much time are you spending right now managing your attachment patterns? For example, how much time do you spend lying awake at 2 a.m., anxious about your relationship? How much time do you spend analyzing every text message for hidden meanings? How much time do you spend having the same fights over and over? How much time do you spend recovering from emotional shutdowns or anxiety spirals? How much time do you spend trying to explain yourself to your partner? How much time do you spend dealing with the aftermath of triggered behaviors? How much time do you spend reading articles and watching videos trying to figure this out? Add it up, okay? Add it up. Seriously, I want you to. How many hours per week is that? I'm willing to bet it's at least 5 to 10 hours a week. Some of you are spending 20 hours a week managing your attachment anxiety or your shutdown or your disorganized chaos. Okay, that's a part-time job. Imagine if you had a part-time job's worth of time back. My client Catherine said, I began the program with a highly anxious attachment style, and I felt emotionally dysregulated on a daily basis. Think about how much time and energy she was spending just managing that dysregulation every single day. What if you could invest 2 to 3 hours per week for 8 to 12 weeks learning actual solutions, and then never had to spend those 5 to 10 hours per week managing symptoms ever again? That's not adding to your plate. That is freeing up your time. Okay? Another one that I hear quite often. What if my partner won't do this with me? This is a big one. I hear it all the time, by the way. Some people say this looks perfect, but my partner would never do this with me. They don't believe in this stuff, right? I hear that a lot. They think I'm the problem, Adam. What if they won't participate? Here's what you need to understand. You don't need your partner to do this work for you, for your attachment pattern to change. Let me say this again. You can completely rewire your nervous system regardless of whether your partner's on board. In fact, over 70% of the people I start with work on this process alone at the beginning. Their partners are skeptical, uninterested, or outright resistant, and the transformations happen anyway. Why? Well, it's because when you change how you show up in the relationship, the entire dynamic shifts. Your partner has to respond differently because you're not doing your old patterns anymore. Remember Tom and Lisa? Tom had avoidant attachment. Lisa had anxious attachment. Their old pattern was that Lisa would try to connect. Tom would give short answers. Lisa would feel rejected and chase harder. Tom would feel overwhelmed and shut down more. Well, guess what? Lisa did the work. She learned to recognize when her attachment system was seeking connection and to ask for what she actually needed. Hey, I'm feeling disconnected today. When you're ready, I'd love to hear about your day and tell you about mine. Remember that? Tom never took a course. He never learned about attachment theory, but the relationship transformed because Lisa transformed how she showed up. When she stopped the pursuing behaviors that made him feel overwhelmed, when she developed emotional consistency so that she wasn't overwhelmed seeking reassurance, when she learned to regulate her anxious attachment, guess what? Tom naturally started opening up more because he didn't feel pressured anymore. That's the power of changing your nervous system. And you are 50% of your relationship dynamic. When you change your 50%, the entire system has to change with you. Now, hello again. I'm back. There's emotional permanence. There we are, okay? You're at a crossroads right now. There are 2 futures available to you, and the choice you make in the next few hours will determine which path you walk. Future number 1, the path of staying stuck. Let's say you close this page, okay? Great live stream, cool, Adam, thank you. You tell yourself you'll think about it. Maybe you'll come back to it later. Maybe you'll wait for a better time, when you have more money, when you're less busy, when your partner's more on board. A year from now, you're going to have the same fight with your partner that you had last week. The same anxiety is going to be gripping your chest at 2 a.m. The same patterns are running on repeat. Okay? You've tried a few things. Maybe another self-help book, therapy that doesn't address attachment patterns. Maybe a meditation app will help. But nothing has fundamentally changed for you. You're still feeling abandoned, or lonely, or confused, or betrayed, or misunderstood. You're still wondering why love has to be so hard. Still believing that maybe you're just broken, that secure love isn't meant for people like you. You're still checking their location, right? Like Jennifer M. used to. Or you're still stiffening up when they reach for you, like Rebecca. Or your partner's still shutting down during important conversations, like Melissa T's husband. Or your partner's still disappearing emotionally for days, like Sarah's partner did. Maybe you've lost this relationship a year from now. Maybe your partner finally gave up after years of the same patterns. Maybe you're starting over again, hoping things will be different, but knowing deep down you're bringing the same nervous system into the next relationship. Or maybe you're still together, but you're both exhausted. The intimacy is gone now. You're going through the motions. You love each other, but you don't know how to actually connect anymore. And you're both wondering if this is just what relationships become. Is that the future that you want? Because that's the future that's waiting if you don't take action today. Because future 2, the path of transformation, you invest in yourself today. You choose the option that fits your situation. You click the button, like I showed you. You go through, you add to your cart, you add your bundles, you add your gifts. You get instant access to all that training. You start going through the material, and within the first module, you have insights that explain your entire relationship history. That's what I do, and that's why I do it. This is why my nervous system's trying to accomplish things. This is what I'm doing. You learn the regulation techniques specific to your attachment style, and you practice them. Now, at first, they feel awkward, maybe mechanical, but gradually, they become natural. They feel good. Your nervous system starts responding differently to triggers through experiences. 3 months from now, something happens that would have sent you spiraling before, but this time you catch yourself. You use your regulation skills. You self-soothe, and the anxiety passes without you spiraling. Like Jennifer said, within weeks of following my personalized plan, I stopped checking his location. I didn't even feel the urge anymore. My husband noticed the change. He said I seemed more relaxed. Your partner notices. You're different, they say. I don't know what you're doing, but keep doing it. 6 months from now, you're having a conversation that would have ended in a fight before, but you stay regulated. You express your needs without shame. Your partner responds with care instead of defensiveness. And you think, is this what secure attachment feels like? Rebecca shared, recently, I reached for my husband's hand first, and I didn't wait for him to reach for mine. Melissa said, last night he told me things he's never shared with his therapist or anyone else. And a year from now, you can look back and say, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. You almost let this opportunity pass, but you didn't. You've completely rewired your attachment patterns. You feel safe and loved for the first time in your life. The constant anxiety is gone. The emotional shutdown doesn't happen anymore. The chaos has transformed into stability. A year from now, you're building the life you've been missing, one experience at a time, and you're not settling for anything less than real love. Which future do you want? Type 1 if you choose future 1, staying stuck. Type 2, and if you do, we have to talk. Type 2, put 2 in the chat if you choose future 2. I'm transforming. Okay? Tell me that. Chat, you're down here. I'm going to look for that. Okay? Tell me which one you choose. This is important. It's very important that you select today which path you're going to be following. And tell me truly, chat, which one is it? 1 or 2? Which future are you selecting today? Are you ready to change forever? Are you ready to change? Are you ready to make 1 year from now the best year of your life? And then the best year after that, and after that. Okay, there we go. Chat is on a delay. There's 2s right there. 2. Future number 2. There we go. Thank you, Chill Mama. 2, 2, 2. LOL on the option 1. Some people will do it. Some people are going to select, I'm going to stay stuck today, Adam. I don't want to change. I don't want to get better. I don't want to change my life and build secure love and finally break free. Some people will do that. I'm not here to shame that, but that's painful. So for those of you hitting 2, thank you. Thank you for that commitment, okay? You know what? I'm going to be really honest with you guys right now. If you're not ready to do the work, if you're not ready to show up vulnerable and let someone see your patterns, if you're not ready to practice regulation techniques, even when they feel awkward, if you're not ready to have corrective experiences that change your nervous system, then this isn't for you. That's okay. This is not a magic pill, okay? It's not passive consumption. It's not just watching videos and hoping things will change. This is active rewiring. This is practicing new skills until they become automatic. This is putting yourself in situations that feel uncomfortable so that your nervous system can learn that secure love is safe. If that's not what you're ready for, I totally respect that. Save your money. Maybe you'll be ready next year. But if you are ready, if you're done with the anxiety spirals, done with sabotaging good relationships, done with being controlled by wounds from childhood, then this is your moment. Not tomorrow, not next week, not someday when the time is right, right now. Okay? The people who transform their lives aren't the smartest people in the room. I'll be honest. They're not the people with the easiest problems or the most resources or the most supportive partners. They're the people who decide that enough is enough. The years and money you put down is enough. The people who decide that secure attachment is non-negotiable, who decide they're willing to invest in themselves even when it's scary. I'm seeing more twos. Thank you. Okay. There are people who say, like Malka did, I haven't been part of the program long, but it's already changed me significantly in how I approach all relationships in my life. There are people like Catherine who said, I could not have anticipated the progress and growth I would experience as part of this program. There are people like, let's see, Jenny. Jenny was a good example, who saved her marriage after 2 years of failed couples therapy. There are people who see an opportunity and take it. People who don't wait for perfect conditions because perfect conditions never come. Who understands that, right? Who here understands that? The best time to plant a tree, they say, was 20 years ago, so that you could sit under it. The best time, second best time to plant a tree is right now. The worst time to plant a tree is next year. So are you that person? Are you the person who's ready? Because if you are, your new life is one click away. But if you're still shopping around, still waiting for a cheaper option, still hoping this will just magically be better on its own, I totally get it. This probably isn't your time, and that's okay. But please don't waste your time and mine pretending you're ready if you're not. There are people right now on this stream who are ready, who will take action, who will transform their lives. I'm going to focus on you guys, okay? I respect the other people making their choices, but the ones who are ready, I'm going to focus on you, okay? If you're ready, if you're done, if you're committed, let's keep going, okay? The next part is especially for you. I want to make this really, really focus, okay? Let me pop over here. No, back over here. See? There we go. Guys, I want to be so honest with you, okay? What we need more than anything is clear steps. People need to know what to expect. They need to know what's happening, okay? They need to know what to do next. So, with that in mind, let's get started. Here's exactly what to do right now. Not later. Not when you've thought about it more. Right now, while the clarity from this training is fresh, while your motivation is high, while Black Friday pricing is still active. First, step one, choose your transformation level, okay? I want you to look at that bundle page, okay? I can go show you. The bundle page is right here. No, right here. There you go. I want you to look at that page. Go back one. Select this piece for you, okay? You're going to pop in on the Black Friday page, begin your secure journey here. Select which one. Self-driven learning. So many people start here in the courses, and these are amazing bundles. Pick those up, okay? That's the one I showed you. Or the expert programs if you're ready to jump in. Choose the one that fits your situation. If you're not sure, choose the ultimate bundle over here in the self-driven learning. You're going to get everything all together, okay? Below that button, click that button, and that takes you over here into these. Okay, you see what I added up. You see the pieces I added in, the gifts I selected over here. They're still there. There's the ultimate bundles down here toward the bottom, I believe. Starter bundles, couples bundles, specialty bundles, secure dating, avoidant bundles, everything, okay? The ultimate bundles is, Adam, I'm ready to go. Look at this, from $7,000 down to $2,000 with change, okay? All courses, lifetime access, complete library with an attachment assessment involved, everything together. This is what you can do right here, okay? See that button? Click it, okay? As soon as you purchase, you are going to get login credentials. You're going to go to your first module. You're going to start watching, learning, and implementing. Don't wait until you have more time. Don't wait till Monday to start. Your nervous system is running the same patterns, so start rewiring them now. And then consider coaching. Okay, this is optional, but if you want to accelerate your results with personal support, get the option to select a call with our team after purchase. Okay, up to 30% off coaching right now during Black Friday only. You don't have to decide about coaching right now, but if you want it, if you think you might, schedule the call. The discount is only available right now if you select in during the 72 hours. Okay? Now, very important here. One more thing before we go. Okay? One more thing. When you invest today, you're not just getting courses. You are getting support. So if you get stuck, if you have questions, if you're not sure how to apply something to your specific situation, we are here to help. Our support team responds within 24 to 48 hours, really fast. We'll help you troubleshoot, clarify, and implement. You are not doing this alone. You're joining a community of 1,600 people who've already transformed their attachment patterns and thousands more who are on the journey with you. So we've got you. Take the leap. Click the button. Okay? I mean this, guys. It is your time to change forever if you're ready. Hello again. Back to me. Okay? Before you go, I want to say something personal. You being here today tells me something really important about you. You're not someone who gives up on love. Despite whatever pain you've experienced, the relationships that might have ended, right? The nights you spent crying, the anxiety that gripped you, the loneliness that consumed you, you're still here fighting for connection. That courage, that refusal to give up, that determination to believe that love can be better, that's exactly what it takes to create secure attachment. You already have what you need inside you. You just need the right system to access it. You need someone to show you how your nervous system actually works, what skills you're missing, and how to build them. Now, I've spent more than 16 years actually now learning this science. I've worked with over 1,600 people in coaching alone, just like you. I've helped people transform from anxious messes who couldn't make it through a day without panicking to secure individuals who can navigate relationships with confidence and peace. I've seen avoidant people who hadn't cried in 20 years finally access their emotions and connect deeply with their partners. I've seen disorganized people move from chaos to stability, from confusion to clarity. This transformation, it's not reserved for lucky people or people who had good parents and good kids, good childhoods growing up. It's available to anyone who's willing to do the work. And this Black Friday event is your chance to get the complete system at the lowest prices of the year. Okay? You have a 72-hour window. That's how long you have to take advantage of these prices, these bonuses, this opportunity. After that, you will be paying full price, if you even remember to come back. Most people don't. They let the moment pass. A year later, they're still stuck in the same patterns, wishing they had taken action. So don't be that person. Be the person who recognizes an opportunity and seizes it. Be the person who invests in themselves. Be the person who finally breaks the cycle. Be the life you've been missing, one experience at a time. Build that life. Don't settle for anything less than real love. Thank you for spending this time here with me. Okay? Thank you for being brave enough to face your patterns. Thank you for refusing to give up on love. Now, go to that website, adamlanesmith.com/black-friday. Click that link, click that button, and let's go. Let's transform your attachment patterns together. I'll see you inside the program. This is Adam Lane Smith, the attachment specialist. Your secure attachment journey starts now.